Hello, Mackie here. It is officially 10 minutes to 11 p.m. on the 7th day of September 2025. I just watched an incredible NFL game. I mean, that Bills Ravens game was absolutely something else. And this weekend of League of Legends was absolutely something else as well. We are officially 37 days from Worlds. Now, if you notice that I'm speaking a little softly because, of course, my parents are sleeping and it's Sunday night, so I don't have to go crazy here. Thankfully, we're not going to go crazy into this episode here. This is Chasing China, another episode of Chasing China. And we are nearing the end of all these regional matches and about to get ready for Worlds, spots being locked in, and for Worlds to kick off. Now then, as you all know, we have the World's Death Note. These are the teams that are no longer going to Worlds, and pretty much their season ended for this year. As you can see, this is a really, really long list. I mean, the list is getting longer and longer with every single passing day, of course. And of course, we're adding new teams almost every day to the teams that did not make it to Worlds. But, I decided to make a new list. And you can say that some other websites are doing a new list. But I'm making a new list, and it said, these are the teams that have captured China. The teams have pretty much qualified for Worlds. So you got Gen.G pretty much already qualified from their win in MSI, which is pretty much okay. CFO and PSG Talon. Yes, PSG Talon. I can explain, of course. We'll get to all that later. G2, who just wiped the floor against K Corp today. Vivo Key and Stars. That's a shocker. And FlyQuest from the LTA North. So those are the teams that qualify. By tomorrow, we'll have one more. It'll be Fnatic versus KOI for the next spot, and then more as the days go on, more and more teams will qualify, and then all the slots will be revealed. So the question is, Akeem, how do we get this list started? How did the list grows? Of course. Well, let's just go through in order. First off, let's go to the LEC. And of course, let's go to the matchup that already happened today, which is G2 versus Karma Corp. Karma Corp was impressive in game one, handed G2 their very first loss of the entire summer. And everybody must be thinking to yourself, how will G2 respond, from getting their mouth punched in the early sessions of this series? Well, they punch back harder and harder and even more brutal. Yeah, G2 just absolutely slapped Karma Corp all over the wall. I think you can say right now that G2 are looking like the informed team in the LEC. And I know we've been burned twice, at spring, at winter, we've been burned twice. There is a world that G2 could win LEC. This may be hyperbole, but the way G2 have been performing right now in the last couple of weeks, the way they've been performing post MSI, and yes, I include EWC, of course. I think G2 have been performing well. Skillman looks really good. He's probably the best player on the G2 right now. Broken Blade as well. Caps is fine-ish in most of the cases, but the fact that Skillman is actually glowing up, getting ridiculed from what happened in MSI, not playing decently, to like being a level up, playing well in jungle, especially Xinjiao and all those highly high-skilled champions, of course. So the fact that he's improving and Broken Blade is improving, of course, and G2 are going to play their wacky champions as usual. They're not going to change who they are, but they're still winning and they're still looking good and they're still looking dominant. And right now, there is no doubt that G2 are still probably the favorites to win LEC. As for Common Corp, I think this is I was never expecting much. Consider Common Corp has been not so great since post winter. And pretty much the shows. Now they have another chance, of course, to try to win. They had to face Vitality, which I said it right now. I think Common Core could be the favorites, of course, against Vitality. They won 3-1, which is a series that is not even close. Also, GX beating the ever-living of BDS. What a disappointing year for BDS. Look at the lineup. Okay, they have Ice and Nuke. And Striker was a good coach, but yeah, pretty disappointed for them. Nymera, dear old Nymera, who cast today's game, of course, with Medic, mentioned about Isma having an absolute stellar year, of course. Now let me just see if I can find a. Let me. Oh no. Now let me just see if I can at least find a tweet about Isma. Of course. Um. Let me just see. Okay. There you go. Um. Okay. There you go. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. I think. I think he. I think he is. Um. I think he mentioned about. I think he mentioned about Isma. Of course, he's mentioned about Isma. No. No. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So he mentioned about this. I don't think there's any doubt that Isma is the most improved player in the LEC this year. Gotta respect her growth. Filling into a team, a split into the year as a hardest role to swap out in pro. That huge risk to it, but the move paid off, and I agree with him immensely. His numbers has been pretty good this year, and if you look at what Isma has done this year, and if you look at his performance this year for this team, he has been pretty decent for Giant X. 9-4, almost a 70% win rate. Nice. 4.9 KDA and almost a nice kill participation. But he's playing the Zinjao pretty well. He's playing the Maokai pretty well. He can play the Vi and Trundle pretty well, Sejuani and Wukong in some cases. So he's playing like your mostly engaged bruiser kind of tanky champion. But he can pop out the Zinjao in order for aggressiveness, of course. So his performances have been unbelievably good. Look at the damage numbers and look at the CS numbers ahead of all the junglers in some cases. He has been on point this entire year. And we see the difference between like one guy coming into jungle, of course, with your Beidron coming in. And speaking of Beidron, uh, yeah, the whole Shadow Beidron Benjin is yeah, BLG's jungling is a pretty much problem. And I think, by the way, this is taking place between JDG and BLG, which I think, spoilers right now, there was a reverse sweep. And maybe it was Beidron was the reason why they won. Maybe. But yeah, anyways, BLG have a lot of problems, especially in jungle. But for him to lock down that jungle position and actually played so well for this Giant X team, who is, let's be brutally honest, if we look at the bracket back then, if they could have, if MKOI and Fnatic, the loser of that game will face off against Giant X. And if Isma can be on point, there may be a world that Giant X could beat either Fnatic or Koi. The way that these two teams have been performing all year, like the way they've been iffy in some of the cases, there might be a chance that Giant X might pull the upset. There might be a chance. I don't see Common Corp losing to. I don't see Common Corp losing to Vitality. I don't think so. I think they got beat by a pretty well-oiled and resurgent G2 team. I think they'll be fine. But Giant X could pull up an upset. Giant X could pull an upset against either Koi or Fnatic. We'll find out on Monday, of course, if that's true. But maybe they have a chance. Maybe. So that is pretty much the LEC finished. MKOI versus Fnatic will take place tomorrow or an hour from now as recording. And then Saturday we'll have the Giant X match. And then Carmen Corp versus Itali will be taking place on Sunday. And I believe next Monday will be the G2 matchup to see who will be in the finals in Madrid, by the way. Yeah. So G2 are heading to Madrid, by the way, and going to Worlds based on the victory, of course. Of course, MKOI versus Fnatic will see who will join them in that finals as well. But right now, I have no doubt that G2 are going to win the LEC. I think G2 have been above everybody else. And listen, let's be honest, Koi and Fnatic they've been iffy throughout the year, especially Fnatic, of course. If you give G2 like a best of 5 series and the form they're in right now, I can say this right now, 9 times out of 10 that G2 will beat everybody. 9 times out of 10. And we've been seeing the whole feel like, oh, G2 are the favorites and then lost. I understand that. But at least G2 are in the finals. They've been to almost all the LEC finals. So at least they're like been the most consistent team all year without even winning. Kind of like Sabalenka, been to finals or semifinals and most of the time and can't even win until she won the US Open. So at least they've been in the finals and actually do well. The problem is that Gen.G to win the LEC to assert their dominance and being the number one LEC team going to Worlds. I think they can. I think the players have been doing well. I think Talon has been doing well, doing good job this year coaching, and I think G2 have a shot to win the LEC. I've been saying it a lot of times, but I think that's pretty much my honest opinion. Okay, moving on from the LEC to the LPL. Yes, I just spoiled the BLG versus JDG matchup. Okay, that's pretty much explainable. Yeah, so JDG was gun blazers. They were going in gun ho, destroy the Everlegend of the BLG in the very first two games. And of course, that brings up the Nightmare tweet of, hey, Shadow did not look great, and he got banned by Beige One. And here's Nightmare saying that this really doesn't scream confidence for BLG. Changing junglers always has risk. I don't think Beige One will be individually better than Shadow. BLG must think they have better macro and synergy with him. Well, okay. Well, I don't know about that, Nightmare. Well, let's just look at the games, by the way. Let's look at the games. Let's look at the games of how impactful Shadow has been in their matches, in their huge matches. So let's just look. LPL season finale. Let's see. Um, let's see. Let's just go there. Let's see. LPL. Okay, LPL Grand Finals. Okay, then let's look at the match list. Let's look at the match list, and yeah, this is BLG JDG, and let's look at game one. Let's look at game one. Let's look at game by game to see how impactful it was. So Shadow came in, and he looked awful on Wukong, like absolutely awful on Wukong. 0-3-3. Meanwhile, Xiao Wu was dominated. Scout was dominated. Shun was absolutely clapping in and pays. Yeah, brilliant, pretty much brilliant. And the jungle cap was not even close, 16.8% on the damage to 60.1, and the gold distribution is just absolutely a gap. Look at how close some of the gold gaps are, and look at the jungle. It is just absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, the jungle shares is not even close in all that kind of stuff. So okay, game one happened. Let's move on. Let's move on to game two. And you put in Beige One in. Okay, yeah, that's where the changes. And he is still awful. 1-5-7. And he did not look great as well. Knight did improve, and so did Alec, but unfortunately, Shun once again outplayed Beige One. And Pays on the Silver, looking absolutely dangerous. Scout was brutally amazing. Jewel with 22 assists on Braum. Woohoo! Now, once again, here's the numbers. JDG's jungle was pretty much large. The gold distribution was absolutely large. And the damage, Jesus, 20.7% of the damage. 790 to 348. Oh, that's just not it, man. That is just not it. That is absolutely brutal. So, JDG dominated 2 games against BLG. And let's be honest, and I gotta be honest right now, BLG has been looking like the most shakiest team all year. And let's be brutally honest, FlyQuest could have won that series against BLG straight up. I mean, though, honestly, BLG could be beaten by anybody. I mean, right now, I could say this right now. If BLG would have finished fourth in the whole one match to go to Worlds kind of match between the LCK team, I think they might be beaten. I think we're looking at it right now. It's like in the LCK, and we'll get to the LCK later, it's like T1, Life, Gen.G are pretty much Worlds lock in. The fourth team is kind of like a toss-up. Although you can say that KT roster with BDD is looking decent, of course. I think they have a chance. But this BLG team, it's just not looking confident. It's just not looking confident in jungle. Like Nightmare said, of course, earlier that Isma looking great in the hardest role to play in the league. And that's most important. The hardest role to play in the league. Maybe it's AD carry, or maybe it's mid lane or top lane, but jungling is really, really hard right now. It is really, really hard. You got to be on point with your jungle visions, your camping, your ganks, all these other stuff. And if you're not on point with all these things, your confidence will be absolutely down to the floor, down to the absolute floor. So, and the chopping and changing of all the junglers and the no stability about it, it's going to really wreck havoc. But let's look at the rest of the series. Let's look at the rest of the series, by the way. And Bejuan did a little bit better, 1-0 and 10 on the Nocturne with the Orianna combo. And Knight gets 6 kills and 11. They dominated JDG and actually won, been on the Abessa with a beautiful 7-2 and 3 on the KDA. And yeah, BLG's jungle damage distribution not great, and the goal is still large, by the way. Despite dominating the series, it is the goal distribution is not that huge. Not that huge, of course, in that third game. Okay, game number 4. Game number 4, by the way. JDG still dominated. JDG still won the goal distribution, but barely, of course. And the damage, oh, look at that, 20.6%. That's much better. Bejuan on a Morgana jungle. All right. Okay. I see how you cook right now. 2-0 and 14 assist. Knight 8 and 2 and 6. And then Elk 5-1 and 9 on Ziggs. They managed to dominate that game as well. And then game 5 was, of course, another domination game. I mean, all 5 games with absolute stumps. And Bejuan 2-0 and 10 on the Poppy. Knight 4-5-5 and on Mel. Mel, right? Mel. Yeah, Mel. And Elk 9-1 and 2 on the Caitlyn. And unfortunately, the game was not even close. The game was pretty much brutally over. Zhao cannot land hooks. Pays was non-factor. And Scout was just not it, man. Scout was just not a factor on this Twisted Fate. And around 28-30, the game was over. And goal distribution was kind of close, slightly in favor of BLG. And then JDG won the damage distribution again. So in most of the series, you can say that, okay, BLG won this series, but as I said it again, I don't think the whole chopping and changing of the junglers did not help this at all. It did not help at all. Like, yeah, you won, but it doesn't feel like a win, of course. It just doesn't feel like a win, to be brutally honest. And I don't know, man. BLG could look like a team that might get knocked out at LPL. They could get knocked out of Worlds if this form continues. If they don't have the stability of the jungle and they're playing like up and down long games, like too much inconsistency for this team to feel like I can trust them. And this might cost them not only an LPL title, but probably Worlds as well. They could be like one of those traditional LPL teams that stunk up their chances of making the Worlds. And you know what? I will not be surprised if they're going to be in it, because the next opponent they'll face in that matchup will be IG, who just absolutely clapped the living out of EDG, to be honest. And it's not even close, let's be honest. So they're going to have a hard work cut out against a pretty solid, good IG team, let's be honest. And that game will determine who will. No. Actually, no. Actually, this. Oh, I think. Remember, top 4 means they go to world. Remember, top. Wait. Top. Okay, hold up. Timeout. Let me do the Shaquille O'Neal timeout. Okay, let me just look at something here while I'm doing this video. Okay, TNOE are gone. NIP, EDG are still in it. And these are championship points or points distribution. So yeah, we just don't know who goes to Worlds. But the way these point distribution has gone, the winner of the team that finished in top 4 of this play will get 60 points. And that will be huge going to your regional qualifying and all kinds of stuff. It said that the 3rd, 5th ranked team that did not qualify will go to Drew. The top 2 will qualify. The top 2 will qualify for Worlds and all this kind of stuff. And actually no, because because anyone's legend, make them qualify for Worlds because of their second best regional placement. So that means that top 4 will get to Worlds, of course, and 3rd and 5th will have to fight who will qualify for Worlds, and this will be a King of the Hill. Last time I checked, they did like a double elimination format. Now it's King of the Hill elimination style. So 4th meets 5th, and then winner gets 3rd place, and then go to Worlds. Although you can say that those two will go to Worlds anyways, and of course they play for like regional battles, of course. So lots of things to sort out. But for now, BLG are going to be in real trouble right now because IG are looking absolutely the best team in all of LPL. They've been most consistent. They've been playing well. Rookie has been amazing. Knight has been. Oh wait, not Knight. The Shy is being the Shy, which is okay. But right now, I just don't see anyone that is consistent enough to beat this team. Gala being Gala, Mako being incredible, of course. The Shy is the Shy. Way has been on fire, of course. And right now, I just don't trust BLG with a 10-foot pole. Anyone's Legend has been up and down all around with all these problems. And Top Esports, do I really trust Top Esports to win LPL? Do I really trust them? I don't know. I just don't know. So let's just say, so I'm going to say this. I think I said it, of course, a couple of days ago, but IG could win this whole thing. Maybe IG could win this entire LPL, and it will not be a shock to even myself. But of course, a long way to go in these matches, but we'll find in a couple of days. In a couple of hours from now, Anyone's Legend will take on Weibo Gaming, and that is an interesting matchup. Consider Anyone's Legend have been up and down, but they're still probably going to get their act together, especially in playoffs. But this Weibo team has been something interesting, and this Weibo team can find something incredible and can come back from even like the weirdest circumstances and kind of qualify for Worlds. So that'll be an interesting matchup. And Top Esports versus Nip. How do you like this incredible mid lane matchup between Doinb and Cream? Yeah, that's an incredible jump of matchup. One legendary mid laner to another well, not so legendary, but pretty much decent mid laner, of course, in that game. So two more matches, of course, and then we get EDG versus JDG in a couple of days after the Monday's matchups to determine which team will send into the Death Note, along with Friday's matchup, of course. And yeah, that is the LPL for you. Moving on to the I'm gonna cut give me a couple of minutes and then we'll talk about the LCK, mind you. And let's just tell you something. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in the LCK, but we'll get to the how the matches ended and of course my thoughts on the LCK awards, which I'm gonna say it's not as horrible as many people see it. Give me about a couple of minutes and then we'll come back for the LCK. Okay, we're back. Let's get to the LCK and the LCK season play in. And let me just shout out to the Fries group. Yes, the Fries group, ladies and gentlemen, for being the most entertaining, the most fun, the most incredible group of LCK play I've ever seen in my entire life. And this goes to show you that while low bottom teams may not give you chances to win matches and anything of that, they may give you some entertainment. Which, by the way, Riot, if you like, listen, I know you may not listen to me because I give you a lot of crap, but here's the thing: maybe trying to split, the two teams into the crappy group and the best group in your reports most of the time, because let's be brutally honest, all the formats have been so different, and it's hard for like even the short-minded people of myself cannot even comprehend. Like LCK have one format, LEC has another one format that is pretty much not great, and of course the LEC commissioner admits that the summer format was horrible, and they decided to change that. LTA have gone to whatever kind of these things, and it's just like they don't have like a clear set format for like all the regions. Which, if I going to be esports commissioner and I wanted to be Riot esports commissioner, I will give them a clear one format for all. And if this and give them like a Send group, Rise group, the same with the LPL and the same with the LCK. I think. Oh wait, I think LCP does that, but LCP, LPL, and LCK does this, and I wish that you see the LEC and the LCS does that. So make it happen, because if you don't, maybe I will. And let's be honest, their macro decision has not been great. put in the LTA North promotion matchup in Mexico and have no fans there? Nah, not me, not me. Once I becoming like esports commissioner, once I come like Riot esports commissioner, I'll make some changes. I'll make some sweeping changes. I'll make some changes so hard that Trump will never even see me coming. Never see me coming. That's probably the only time I'll be talking politics in this whole video. Let's just move on here. Shout out to the Fear Fries group for actually causing so much chaos into this plane because many people thought this would be the Nosham Red Force and maybe, well, actually, Nosham Red Force was probably like the team that everybody expected them to go through. And they had a close one against Bro, let's be honest. They would have a really squeaker game against Bro, to be honest. And then, of course, BRK Free XP DK. And it's like, ooh, okay, wow, unbelievable. Maybe Nosham Red Force might go through. No, BFK 3X actually won. And also shout out to Mr. Diable, for becoming the rookie player of the year, ladies and gentlemen. And he is well deserved. He has been the most incredible player that I have seen throughout this entire year. And I think Gold.GG has some numbers to back it up. How incredible this year has been. So if you look at the entire body of work, yeah, he won 44.9% of his games. Not so great, but look at the Kaiser Israel Varus Lucian this entire year with some decent performances, of course, in mostly games. He has been on point with the CS and ahead of CS. Damage per minute, 767.2. One pentakill, of course, and a 0.35 KA per minute on a 28% damage. That is impressive. That is impressive for a rookie to do that in year one. Amazing. Absolutely amazing from the young kid. And of course, BNK3X pulled up the upset against this not so great Nosham Red Force team. Not so great in my opinion because they lost to D plus Kia, another not so great team. Yeah, they take care of the pros. But it was a tricky matchup. We either see Nosham Red Force go home and they'll be upset, or DK go home and it'll be like, now that these teams perform well, but surprise, surprise, D plus beat them and swept them. They swept them. That is jaw dropping even for me. And here's the kicker, ladies and gentlemen. And a little statistic, of course. Nosh and Red Force have only won one series since they beat T1. From here until they lost to D plus K. Do you know what series it was? Their one and only win? It was this one. This is their one and only win they have since they beat T1 way back in like May or something. That's their only series win. Right there. That's their only series win right there. And they have looked awful in those matches. Not even, they got games, of course, but they haven't won series. And they finally won the series against Bro, but even that was not even convincing. And to lose to BFK and then to lose to DK, two Rise teams. You lost to two Rise teams? I'm sorry, man. That's even unacceptable. That is unacceptable even for me. So goodbye, Najim. You are in the gulag. And hello to BFK and D plus Kia, who's going to be playing in the season finals. Speaking of the season finals, let's go there right now. So, if we look down the bracket, by the way, you can see that T1 has picked D plus Kia, and then KT will get BFX, FearX, of course, to determine, of course, who will play either Gen.G or Hanalife Esports. That will be selected, of course, between these two teams. Now, if T1 were to win, I want to see Gen.G versus T1. Let's go. But I think Gen.G are so smart to say, nah, we're not going to have that smoke. We're not going to get that T1 smoke. We're not having that T1 smoke. We're not doing it. But crazy things might happen, of course. And a couple of days off, DK versus T1 will play on Wednesday. And then, of course, KT will take on BFX on Thursday. So these two matches will kick off the whole playoff series. And by the way, of course, the tournament will take place at the Incheon Arena. Of course, it's, in case you haven't noticed, it was the T1 homestand when they ended Gen.G's undefeated streak. If you know, you know. And Gen.G already qualified for Worlds, so I don't think nothing happens to Gen.G. But the next 3 teams will qualify for Worlds based on the bracket performance. So basically, the winners of these will qualify for Worlds. Although Gen.G already qualified for Worlds, of course. So I think right now I already said this. I already said my piece. But barring any catastrophe, it will be T1 Gen.G Honolulu Esports going to Worlds. Gen.G already gone to Worlds, but T1 Honolulu will capture the last 2 spots, and then DKKT FearX is going to battle for scraps. It's going to be like, unless Diablo goes absolutely insane and make B and K FearX actually win this whole thing, and Kellen actually do well, and Raptor and Vikla, if Diablo can pop off, I think B and K can go do well. And KT roster with BDD, who's by the way second all team. Congratulations to him, well deserved. He has to pop off and do well as well. And Dogcom and Cuz and Perfect in order for KT to come through. So T1 are gonna be fine. T1 are fine. Like, yes, T1 are upset to not finish second, of course, but listen, T1 has become the second best team all summer long throughout this entire split. And yes, I know the losing to KT really hurts. Did not get second place, would have an easier time, but I think T1 in my eyes, the way they've been playing, are probably the second best team. Unless something bad happens to them, which if you're a T1 fan, I just saying, I think T1 will be my second best team. And Hana Life has been struggling. I mean, struggling. Like, they finished second place, but I don't feel like they're the second best team in my eyes. They can't even beat both Gen.G and T1 to even save their lives. So, by a narrative standpoint, I think Hana Life could be like the third team that can go to Worlds and maybe, just maybe, lose to one of these teams. I don't know. Maybe lose to a B&K or KT roster or even a D plus who have the Showmaker, have Amy, and have Lucid, but Barrel is still in it, but they have not looking great. They have not looked great. And yes, they finally did get through and made the play-ins, but you just beat a Nashim team that can't even win a series. Just can't even win a series, let's be honest. And finally, we get Gen.G. Look at all this beautiful. You see here. Here's the thing. All these teams have 3-4 coaches in their ranks. 3 or 4 coaches, different positional coaches, all that stuff, and all that jazz. You look at Gen.G. They have been consistent. Simple 5-man roster, simple coach, simple everything, to the point that this entire Gen.G team just been named as first team All Pro, with their coach being Coach of the Year and Chovy being the MVP for the regular season. Regular season, not the whole playoffs. And for the first time in a long while, I kind of agree with the LCK. Now, most of the times when we have the LCK first teams, it's basically like, hey, top team, you're top, all 5 players go through, except like, hey, that guy should have been first team, like BDD should have been first team, and Zika could have been the first team, but they decided like, hey, all 5 players did well, they finished first, that kind of stuff. And that would be the argument among so many community players, and that's why everybody doesn't like the LCK awards that much, because it almost feels like you finish first, you get special treatment, all that jazz. This may be the one and only time in probably the long history of LCK that I think, you know what? I agree with this list. I agree with everything. Gen.G, best team in all this year, all the split, only lost one match to T1, of course, all the split. They've been so consistent, all atop the board, top and bottom, no gimmies and all kinds of stuff. Kim be an excellent coach. Chovy being good. You know what? You know what? No arguments. None from me. None from the community. None from like most of the fans. So yeah, pretty much slam dunk. First team All Pro. First team MVP coach. No, like pretty much a slam dunk. Pretty much a slam dunk all the way. And I think right now Gen.G are going to win LCK, unless T1 can glow up and actually beat them. Which, listen, let's be honest. I want to see a Gen.G T1 best of 5. Unless Unlive Esports can glow up in most of the series, I think we'll get a Gen.G T1 final. And I'm going to say this right now. Gen.G T1 are kind of like this year's Carlos Alcaraz and Yannick Sinner. except the US Open final. Like Carlos just absolutely annihilates Sinner. just saying. But the way these two teams have been glowing up throughout all this year, with the exception of Honda Life Esports winning first stand, of course, but the way that these two teams have been glowing up all year, from MSI to Summer to now in this playoff position, and probably the top two teams in the world, with LPL kind of struggle a little bit, except IG, they may be a shot. They may be a shot that maybe one of these two teams could win Worlds. Mostly T1, because why not? Why not, I guess. But I gotta say, these LCK finals are going to be like pretty much virtually cut and dry for like the top three teams going through. And the final spot will be like a crapshoot for anybody. But Gen.G T1 finals is going to be my dream finals unless something dramatic happens to T1, of course. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, unless D Plus can absolutely do something crazy, and KT roster, who know how to beat T1, by the way, who just cost T1 their spot in second place and put them into the situation. I think KT could do that, but to do that in a best of 5 series against, this team, that is just not going to cut it. Not going to cut it. So also get playoffs are going to come in soon, in a couple of days, of course. Should be fun. Now let's go to the LTA. Let's go to the South. And I wanted to congratulate Vivo Stars on winning the LTA South. Do you know how significant this victory has been? Let me just look at their page to know how significant this victory is. So, this organization has been started since 2023 when they were merging with Stars Horizon, and of course they've been taking the spot from the miners, a long time CBLOL team, of course, from way back when. Now, of course, it took them 11. I think they said in the commentary, the LTA South English commentator, took them about 14 years. 14 years for this team to finally win a big title. Although I think Shinnok just mentioned the question. We'll get to that later. But for Vivo Stars to be in to win something huge, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for them, and it's a big deal for for Trimby. Yes, Trimby. You all know Trimby, former Fnatic player, former Rogue player, of course, who won LEC way back when, and now he's going to, I think it's his second Worlds ever. Hang on, let me just check. I think this is his second Worlds ever, because I remember he going to Rogue back in 2022. So I think he went to Worlds. Oh yeah. Yeah, no, second Worlds. Second Worlds. He went, yeah, second Worlds. Of course, second Worlds. So I'm confused myself. Third straight Worlds appearance. Oh. He is going to his third World Championship appearance with with 3 different teams, and the first in different colors other than Europeans. There you go. I just tie myself in knots, but here we are. So we all know Trimby has been great. Both of us was absolutely amazing. Of course, CL. Hey, I like CL, man. For anybody who don't know, CL was doing one of the last Free Nation shows. I think he was on the Best Damn League show with Dorid and Peter Dunn, of course, and his knowledge was absolutely excellent, of course. So for CL to actually win this thing was huge. Now, of course, the real title is going to come to Texas. Yes, Akeem. LTA South and LTA North are not real titles. We all get it, of course. It's not their fault. Not my fault. Not their fault. Blame on Riot. Blame on them. They did this to you, okay? They feed on your weakling innocence and just, yeah, blame on them. But CL, brilliant title for him. Good for him. Morthinus was amazing, of course. Meru in the mid lane. Decimus and Ball. Yeah, I have to say, pretty good work for them. And they absolutely smashed Cannons. Well, let's just say the first 2 games was an absolute smash. The third game was a kind of like a tug and pull, of course. Red Cannons trying to win the game, of course. They had like a slight goal lead in most cases. But it's like Viva Cannons just overwhelmed them. And they're trying to go backdoor, but they deny them time and time again. And Viva Cannons with a with a convincing 3-0 in most eyes, of course, just win the whole thing and will go to Texas playing against the winner of the LTA North. Who is the winner? It is none other than the surprising team of FlyQuest. Yeah, sadly for 100 Ds, this is kind of like the case of scenario of having one too many miracles happen to you and the bottom just fell out. Well, let's be honest. Nobody was expecting 100 Thieves to even beat Lion, and they did. Nobody expected 100 Thieves to beat Team Liquid, and they did. Nobody was expecting Team Liquid 100 Thieves to beat Cloud9, and they did. Nobody expected, well, some people expected them to not do well against Shopify Rebellion, and they did. And nobody was expecting them to even get a game out of FlyQuest, which they did. Unfortunately, FlyQuest have been the better LTA North team from like minute one of the entire year. And no surprise that FlyQuest won. It was a dominant performance. And once again, Whipple is becoming the villain. He is the villain of every single person, including Dokla, who unfortunately did not even fist bump after the game. My lord. Yeah, he did not even fist bump. Whipple talking smack. I think Ellis mentioned in his video, does he have a mental problem? Hey, that's Whipple for you, man. You even take the good with the bad, I guess. You take the good with the bad. And some people who said, like, oh, fine him or fire him or anything like that. Like, guys, this is entertainment for you guys. If you can even take the simplest kind of thing that to make it entertaining, that just like you're defeating the whole purpose. It is entertainment, okay? I love to see the spice between these two. And it makes the matchup so incredible because Dokla might be going to another team, of course, after this 100 Ds thing is finished. And we don't know where he might go, of course, next. But I'll tell you what, Dokla versus Whipple is going to be must-see TV next year. Or maybe must-see TV when we get to Texas in the finals, of course. Because let's be brutally honest, look at this. If you look at all three matches, Game 1 was kind of close. Game 2 was a 100 Ds win. And then Game 3 was an absolute stump. And then Game 4 was an absolute stump as well. So but 100 Thieves did what they did all bracket long. They keep fighting, they keep battling on, and you gotta save 100 Thieves. That will show them like we may be losing, but we're not quitting. And I think if the next time we see each other, it will be a really, really close series. And speaking of the next time, we're headed to Texas. We are heading to Texas. Well, not me. I am still stuck in Jamaica, of course. But we are heading to Texas, by the way, to determine our one true LTA championship for hopefully the one and only time. Because, as we said, of course, the entire LTA was an absolute disaster from the freaking beginning. Even the fans know it. But Riot can't. Because they might be thinking, hey, guys, the LTA was an absolute success. In their eyes, in our eyes, no way, Jose. No freaking way. So we'll kick this whole thing off next week on the 13th of September. And please tell me it's on a Friday. Oh, no, it's a Saturday. Okay. I just want to say it could be bad luck for 100 Thieves, of course. Now, of course, FlyQuest and Vivo Kings already qualified for Worlds, so that's pretty much taken care of. The two teams will face each other, of course, to determine who will be in the finals, and the loser will play on this. Now, the next two matches will determine who will go to Worlds. Pain Gaming versus 100 Thieves, and then Red Cannons versus Shopper Rebellion. Now, if all the status quo goes, and maybe you say that 100 Thieves and Shopify Rebellion will win, pretty much likely because consider the history between the Seoul versus the North, especially in the cross conference in the earlier splits, it's been a whitewash. But if we get the status quo, that means 100 Ds will take on Shopify Rebellion for probably the last slot at Worlds. And let me be honest right now, I do not want 100 D. I do not want to see David Shynock's 100 D story being ended. Listen, being in Texas and being in the finals in front of all you fans is cool. It's cool. But just imagine going to Worlds. In fact, 100 Thieves and Shopper Rebellion could go to Worlds. Could be in Worlds, by the way. like for Ludwig and Moist Critical and all kind of stuff going to Worlds, it's huge for their brand, of course. Even though they have, and even though they barely even do co-streaming and all kinds of stuff. Like, 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 have you seen Eba getting fired, of course, in VCT Europe and have their entire team yoink because he didn't co-stream and all kinds of stuff? Like, yes, I know Eba did not, respect the contract of co-streaming all the time, considering he have like I don't know hundreds of teams he could support with, including the League of Legends slot. But again, Riot mismanagement, not so great in most cases. In fact, Riot management is not as great in so many cases, especially format and personalities and all that jazz. It is what it is, I guess. But Shopify Rebellion being in Worlds will be huge. 100 Ds will be incredible being in Worlds in their last year in League of Legends ever. Oh my god. David is going to have a freaking fun time, of course. Cheesecakes and all, of course. So, David, Shynock, if you're listening to this, I hope 100 Ds can go to Worlds so that you're gonna if 100 listen, you may not David, this video might come out into your X feed, but if you're trying to like go, you know, go through it and maybe I'll talk to you about 100 Ds. But if you go to 100 Ds, I want you to drink the biggest Chardonnay you'll find. You may not have money, but I want you to drink. I want you to find the biggest champagne you ever find, and just go crazy with it. Go absolutely crazy. Go drunk. Play League of Legends drunk. Maybe play Vayne, of course, drunk. I don't know. Maybe some crazy stuff. Get ready to celebrate if 100 Ds make it to Worlds. But if you don't, you can just if they don't win and they don't make it and 100 Ds are done, maybe you do like an acapella version of you know, Chemical Romance, Welcome to the Black Parade. You may do that. So this is my stipulation to you, David. If you're listening and watching this, by the time this has been going out, it might be sent and Bobby talk to you. But if that happens, maybe just maybe, we'll see. We'll find out. But those are the stipulation I put in. Maybe if you can hear me, maybe you may respond to it or not. That's up to you. And we'll see what we can do. So here's the bracket. FlyQuest versus Vivo and Cairns will actually it's not gonna start out. 100 Thieves will take on Pain on Saturday, and then Shopify Rebellion will take on Red on Sunday, and then the following week will be FlyQuest versus Vivo and Cairns, and then Sunday will be this matchup to determine who will be in the top three. And then Saturday and Sunday will be the finals, and that is it for the LTA this year. And thank God, consider how crappy this LTA thing has been done. I'm glad it is over, and I'm glad we have to talk about. Guys, it's been great. All of this has been great, but can you give us the LCS back? Can we just please have the LCS back for God's sakes? People don't like the LTA. Fans do not like the LTA. You may like the LTA, but I don't. I bet the producers and the people, content creators, and all kinds of stuff do not like it at all. So if you can please make an announcement, have one representative of Riot come down to the stage before the series starts, and make an announcement in front of all these fans of Texas and say that I know the community. Listen, the community. We didn't listen to the community. We didn't listen to you. We know your voice and concerns and all kinds of stuff. But as of next year, we are decided to change back to the LCS and the CB LOL because they're not the only ones, and we will try to make our best to listen to you guys and have feedback and give you better formats so that we can go forward to the future and no teams will be lost throughout this whole process. There you go. There you go. I just like save you guys PR nightmares and fan sentiment for life. Oh, right. Right cannot do that. They're just so greedy in themselves. All right, then. All right, then. I just trying to help you, but helpers cannot be helped. I guess. Finally, to the LCP, and yeah. So Gam, CFO into the LCP finals, and to Vietnam, of course, and to Worlds. So no surprise there. But shout out to PSG, Talon, and shout out to my boy Karza. Where is he? Ah, yes, Mr. Karza himself. Oh, look at him. Look at him in tears. Oh my God. Woo. He's back at Worlds, baby. Karza is back at Worlds. You cannot, and you, I mean, I'm happy for him, and he played incredibly well against GAM Esports. His Vi was amazing. His Jarvan was amazing as well. He was the MVP of that series against GAM, and they have gone to Worlds along with CFO. Let's be brutally honest. Let's be brutally honest. This is a team, mind you, who, by the way, were awful, absolutely terribly awful. And how awful it is, Akeem? Well, let's see. 0-3 in their contender group, not even winning a single series, not even winning a single game, not a single game. Like, fine, GAM and CFO okay, but GAM and CFO okay, but Team Secret Wells? Okay, Team Secret Wells are always okay, but to go 0-3 and 0-6 is not looking great. And then you have to, like, you know, and then you lost to MVK, of course, in the group breaker, of course. So you go, what, 0 for 8, and you gone 0 for 4 and 0 for 8. You haven't won a single game throughout this entire process. So your backs was really against the wall to even not only make Worlds, but even make it to, like, the finals, to be honest. And then, of course, you make on a run. You go on a run. You go on what, Sideshow, of course, said in Valorant, you went on a run. Literally. They beat the Chiefs, who are awful, let's be brutally honest, and then beat DFM, also another awful team. So, okay, they got the momentum going and actually won. And then they made it to the season finals, by the way. And would you look at that? They got revenge against Viking, and they got revenge against GAM. So they went from 0-4, 0-8 to 4-0-8-0. Incredible turnaround from this team. Absolutely incredible turnaround. Like, yes, they beat Cheese, they beat DFM, not so great teams, but fine. But to beat MVK and to beat Cam, this is a team that have Levi, for God's sake. They have they have Levi, Emo, Artemis, Kaya. This team was supposed to be locked in for Worlds with CFO. And my God, PSG Talon just stole it. Literally stole it. And for Mabel, by the way, this might be his last year competing in League of Legends. And for him to go out and play in his last international competition for a legend like him, Mazel tov, man. You deserve this. PSG, the entire team, deserves this opportunity to play at Worlds. And maybe this might be the last time you see this incredible team play for this incredible brand of this incredible APAC region. But it's a pleasure to, like, watching you guys and honor you, of course. And you deserve this opportunity to go to Worlds. So congratulations, PSG Talon and CFO, to go through. They'll face each other, of course, to determine who will play in the finals, of course, and all that jazz. But they were already both go to China. They're already gone both to the season finals, of course. GAM are pretty much needed to beat either Team Secret Wells or MVK in order to make it to Worlds, of course. Now, I think GAM is going to make it through, and all of this will be washed. But if they were to lose and not make it to Worlds, there'll be some questions, of course, in the GAM arena. Now, I saw, like, the general manager, the bald-headed general manager. He's a fiery, incredible dude. I like his personality and all that kind of jazz. But what happens if his team does not make it to Worlds? There'll be some questions to be answered. What happened to Levi? A legendary career not making the Worlds without Harris's career, of course. There'll be a lot of questions, but you know, to find out all the answers and all these questions, you have to stay tuned for the next episode of Chasing China, which actually is gonna start maybe next week, because this is the end of this episode of Chasing China. Of course, if you make it this far and like all of this stuff and League of Legends and all that jazz, like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, your family members, your uncles, your cousins, your nieces, your nephews, all this kind of stuff. And we will see you on the next episode when we get ready for more teams punching their chicken to punching their ticket to China Why did I say chicken? I ate too much chicken in this weekend. Punching the ticket to China, by the way, and probably gonna do some history about every single Worlds ever because we're closer to Worlds, and maybe I have to do some history, of course. Maybe I'll do it in a short, of course, or a longer format. I don't know, but yeah. Anyways, thank you for watching. Make sure you do all this stuff. More world teams getting qualified every single day, almost every single day, and every single week as we get closer to Worlds and China. Enjoy your entire weekend. Enjoy your entire week. Walk safe in the Lord. Be good. Be humbled. Stay safe. Drive home safely. And ciao.